So finally, we get to speak to Kofi Robert. I've been calling him Kofi Rabbit for a very long time, but that's the man who was accused by Strika of keeping his money. He had no access to him. Thankfully, when we came to the regional command, Kofi Robert has come. He's come to vindicate himself. He brought the statement of account and how the money has been spent so far. As a matter of fact, he's handed over about 40,000 plus. 40,000 and how much to the family?
And 193.
Okay, 40,000 and 193 was what is left of the how much?
From the initial amount.
Mm-hmm.
It was about just over 102,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the family has gone through the statement with him. They seem satisfied. They said they are satisfied with the statement. And so he has vindicated himself, handed over the money and shown the world through that statement how the money has been used so far. Let's take his reaction to what has happened within these few days.
Honestly, I was taken by surprise when this thing happened. I don't watch TV, so I had to be alerted by friends that, Ima had gone on air, making certain statements. And I was surprised because from what I understood from the story, he needed money. And whenever he needed money, he always calls me and we meet at the bank, about his bank. And I always withdraw money for him.
He goes with you personally because what he tells me is that he has to go through Kabnasam, and then Kabnasam is the one who has access to you. He doesn't have direct access to you.
That's not true. He always calls me. Just on May 20th, that was the last time I actually met him at the bank. It was a very rainy day, and we met at the bank, and he came with a friend, and I gave him money for his upkeep. So I was hoping that money would last him a while, but I was surprised. I want to ask him if it's okay for me because I don't like giving out certain details unless I'm.
So the last time you saw him was in May. How much did he give you when you went to the bank with him?
1,000
Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Okay. Is that the same amount you gave him?
That's
okay.
Correct.
All right.
So I was hoping that he would manage that money for a while. So for me to hear just last week that he needed money again, I was surprised because for him to go through money that quick, for me, that was the main reason why I held on to for him to learn the culture of saving or even spending wisely, because he goes through money like it's not normal. I can give him money, he'll go and it gets lost, and I have to give him money again. And it didn't, for me, it wasn't something that I wanted to encourage because I was trying to build a culture of him being independent when he's at least 21. I know I told him I'd give him everything by 18, but then I also gave him half part of the money when he was 18 because I wanted to see how he'd manage that till he's 21. Then at 21, I give him everything, at least by then, because the money was in an investment account, he would have accrued more interest, he would have had a little more money if he wanted to start life, he could start it. If I had also done an investment education fund for him, if he wanted to continue his education, he would have been able to do so without, much stress. But then when the first story broke out in
2018.
Yeah, in 2018, he made it known to me that he did not want to go to school anymore. He will tell you I spoke to him so many times regarding the issue because at least I wanted him to finish JSS so that at least it adds a bit more value to him. It improves his reading because once he finishes JSS, he can read quite well, he can write quite well. And these are things that to this date he can do very well. I know for a fact that Sam, because he told me, Sam took him for an audition, they gave him a script and he couldn't read. So for me, it was troubling. I'd spoken to him several times to try and get him help in terms of his education, but he wasn't interested. And every time, the sad part is every time exams time is getting closer when he was in school, he would run away and we would then have to go looking for him. That's what happened the first time that he was found last year. He had run away from school. We had been looking for him for over a month. We didn't know where he was. And then a journalist saw him on the street and said he was homeless, which wasn't true. I tried to speak to the fact when he was interviewed on GH1. I tried to call in. Somebody answered the phone. I introduced myself. I said, "This is Kofi Rabbit. I would like to, respond to Strika." He was on air at the time, and they told me they'll get back to me. They didn't. So for me, it wasn't I feel we weren't given the opportunity to also respond because it became a one-sided thing.
Because also at that time he had a manager who was speaking for him. I presume that you know that Marco was managing him at that time as well.
That's true. That's true.
Because he did a lot of the talking. I personally spoke to Marco on radio on this issue. So maybe then we didn't know that there was certain Kofi Roberts in the picture. But do you think that your intentions towards this young man had gone this way because maybe the family also didn't get the better picture of what was happening?
I would agree with that assertion. I would agree with that assertion to a point. But also there are so many rudiments to this story. There are so many angles to this story. It's if we start today, it's going to take a while. So I'd rather leave it at that. I mean, let's see what happens.
Now, are you satisfied now that you've given out the account, the money, the rest of the money in the account, you've washed your hands off this case?
I am relieved. I am absolutely relieved. Even though, I mean, in my heart of hearts, I wish nothing but the best for him. I wish that the dreams that I have for him, they materialize. Because I want him to be in a position whereby he's 21, he's doing a vocation, even if he doesn't want to go to school, he's doing something positive with his life. I wanted, for me, the main purpose of me even holding on to the rest of his money was when he was 21, I wanted him to be so successful to the extent that you as reporters would see him on the street. Maybe he would be driving a car, he would have his own house. You know, you'd be proud to see him do so well, and I would be proud to have been part of that success story. That was my whole intention.
What delayed the getting him a vocation or getting him a trade to learn? What delayed that process? Because it's almost a year after we heard that.
Ima would be the only person to answer that, because he will tell you how many times I've spoken to him. I talked to him today, he understands. Then tomorrow, it's a different story, you know. And I can't force him. He has to be willing to do it for himself. He has to be willing to better himself and gain some skill. He's got money, yes, but the money can run out. It's not much. It will run out, and he has to add value to his life. He doesn't seem to get it. You know, if you contact his school, they'll tell you it's a whole mixed bag. You know, it's a whole mixed bag. And to be quite honest, in all honesty, Sam has done a yeoman's job of trying to even contain him or teach him, even without me being in the picture. He's done a yeoman's job of trying to take care of him. I can't take that away from him. He took care of him, he took care of Justice. He's also another kid who was in the movie. Justice is still in school. He was in the same school with Ima. You know, he's still in school, he's doing so well. Next year he's writing BEC. And myself, along with Zoe, we are taking care of his schooling now. And for me, it's for him to even finish JSS next year. It gladdens my heart, and that's what I wanted for Ima. But you know, everybody goes their own separate ways at some point in life. So I really hope he does something positive with his life.
Thank you very much, and just the same attention we give to his publication and all that has happened here is what we're going to give to